Oh, uh-oh. Oops, okay.
Welcome to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. This is the weekend of the big game. Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidK80. Once again at SidK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you download the audio version of this podcast, Second City Sports. We're at War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms. And make sure you follow War Media at WARR Media. We are available on all social media platforms as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. Lakeena, let's kick off this big game weekend edition of Second City Sports by bringing on a good friend of the show. He's a former NFL offensive lineman, a Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers back in the 80s, and he's a college football analyst with CBS Sports Network. He's the one, the only, our Hall of Famer, Mr. Randy Cross. Sir,
Yay.
Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. How bad can I be? I mean, it's still football season, and it's going to be fun to watch a game in LA where it's going to be almost 90 degrees in February.
Yeah, who would have thunk it?
Great.
Before we preview the big game, Mr. Cross, I want to review the playoffs with you so far. Minus wild card weekend, these last 2 weeks of the playoffs have been some of the best football that I've seen in playoff football that I've seen in recent memory. Of course, you had the AFC and NFC championship games coming down to the last plays of the game. Of course, divisional playoff weekend, you had, except for Kansas City, you had 3 of the 4 road teams winning. Give us your grade of the games that we witnessed throughout the playoffs.
Well, I think the divisional weekend was just the best pure weekend of playoff football we've ever seen. And, I guess that can cover up to 20 years for most really far-sighted football fans. But I go back a little further than that. I'm not sure I can remember a weekend where there weren't blowouts. I mean, and that's including, you can go back to wild card weekend. There weren't any real boat races. I thought there might be, but then that divisional weekend, those 4 games were so pure and so good. I don't know. It made for not a disappointing championship weekend because those games didn't disappoint at all, but you wanted to have more. I mean, I said, let's get 4 more this weekend too.
Well, Randy, I think you could speak from experience too. I think like all but one of the Bengals, have Super Bowl experience. I've been to a Super Bowl, and I think at least some of the Rams, from a couple of years back when they faced the Patriots, lost to them. Now you went to 3 of these, Randy. So, from your experience, what were the nerves? Was it more nerve-wracking the first time as it was the last time you went?
Time like now, the weirdest thing about Super Bowl was, we all 3 times I played, we had 2 weeks. So there was a week off before, and you game plan, then you got to the city. By Friday, I was pumped, ready to go, just turn me loose. And you sit in your room going, okay, now what? I can't play for another 2 days. So you almost had to decompress yourself and then get back up again, come late Saturday and Sunday. But probably the most underappreciated thing about Super Bowls is the pregame and halftime routines that are so drastically changed and just with very, very little regard by a business that supposedly is in the football business of the routines and what's needed for to do something effectively. I mean, there's so much wasted time from a football standpoint in those pregame and halftimes that it's something you really need to be told about, and you almost have to practice that, because the first time you do it, man, it's terrible. It is so disconcerting. It's ridiculous.
And speaking of preparation, Randy, I wanted to ask you this because for a while, I believe about 15, 20 years ago, the Super Bowl was played the following week of the championship games. Of course, now they're back to the week in between the conference championship and the Super Bowl. I wanted to ask you, how stressful was it following the championship games when you won? All the ticket requests had to be taken care of and all the traveling. How stressful was it? Because I know you had it. I'm assuming you had everybody in your family and people you didn't know, if you know what I mean, asking you for tickets.
Yeah. Tickets, friends, unknown relatives.
Exactly.
Fifth cousins.
Right.
Yeah.
Cousins.
Right.
A little known, it's become kind of trivia at this point. After, Tampa was touted as the first home team and LA was touted this year as the second home team. I got some bad news for you. This was done in January of 85. We played the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 19 in a stadium that was literally like 4 miles from our practice facility. And was like twice as close as Candlestick was. We played at Stanford. And for some idiotic reason, that's not considered a home Super Bowl. But I can tell you from experience, I don't wish that experience on anybody. It's 10 times worse than a normal Super Bowl. It really was, because then you factor in neighbors and acquaintances and business people. And I mean, it can be absolutely berserk playing in a home Super Bowl. So Tampa pulled it off. I'll be curious to see if LA can make that happen this year.
Do you think that's an advantage for the Rams? I mean, they're at SoFi.
No.
I know there's going to be a lot of corporate people there. There might be some Bengals fans. They travel pretty well. So what do you think? Do you think that's a home field advantage for the Rams?
Not at all. Not even close. They're home fans. There'll be some. They won't have as many Ram fans as they had at the NFC Championship game, because half that stadium was Niners.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy. The first time I played in a Super Bowl, it was in Detroit, so it was indoors, and it was different because it was snowy and terrible weather. Probably half the stadium was there 3 hours before the game. And I was so surprised. There were people in coats and ties and dresses, and, they're dressed like they're going to an event. And the Super Bowl's an event. But you miss the jerseys and the face painting and all that stuff, because, the Super Bowl, you have to deal with the fact it's about the casual fan. It's not about the hardcore fan. And that's definitely the case this week in LA. And when you look around the crowd, when it's on TV Sunday, just check it out. If they give you a chance to look at the crowd, because NBC is notorious for sort of blinders like this, where you can't hardly even see the stands.
That's true, yeah.
3-time Super Bowl champion and football analyst for CBS Sports Network's on Randy Cross is joining us here on Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday. We're live and in living color. Sid Lakeena here with you. Randy, let's start previewing the big game between the Rams and the Bengals. I'll start with the Rams defense. Aaron Donald, I said this guy is a man-child. He's been in the league 6 or 7 years. I've been watching him very closely this year. And the things that he does, I think he's this generation's Warren Sapp, only he's more athletic. He has more speed. But the stuff that he does to offensive linemen, it's not fair. I want to take you back to your playing days and your fellow offensive lineman with the 49ers. What would you do? What would be your game plan against Aaron Donald? Would you double team him? If so, how much would you double team? Because this guy, wherever you throw in his way, he seems to just shove it out the way. It's not even fair.
Yeah. I don't, it sounds crazy, but I don't think you can afford to double team him, which sounds nuts, but who are you going to look at the other three guys? They all get single blocking, and that's going to solve your problems? No. I would say the teams that deal with the Rams most effectively are the teams that are successful running the ball against them. It's how the Niners beat them the first time they played. It's how the Niners didn't beat them the second time they played in the championship game. The Niners had one rushing touchdown, a rushing first down. They had more rushing first downs by penalty, too, than they had rushing. They had no chance. You don't beat a team like this that's got basically the defensive line version of a pack of hunting dogs going after your quarterback by being passive and backing up and pass blocking. You beat them by being very, very aggressive and run blocking. And I think you single block Aaron Donald. It's a hell of a chance to take, but I think numbers are the numbers. I don't think you can afford to double them.
Now, Randy, you play O-line. Now, about the Bengals O-line, they gave up that 9 sacks, on Joe Burrow, against the Titans. They've had 2 weeks to kind of time things up. Can they try to block Aaron Donald, or maybe Leonard Floyd or Von Miller? I know it's a tough task, but can they at least keep Joe Burrow upright? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, if you think back to that Titans playoff game where they gave up 9, early on they didn't even know who they were blocking. When they did the replays, the guys were dropping back, kind of like, where are they? They look like Stevie Wonder pass blocking. It was really weird. So I think they're going to identify, and that's not going to be a problem. Then it's going to be a matter of just staying in front of them, which is the hard part, obviously. Von Miller, Aaron Donald, go down the list. Donald's running buddy at D tackle is almost as good as him, which is not good news either. But I don't know. I look at it a little bit differently. I think teams that attack like that, you can counterattack and be very effective.
Let's go to the other side, the Cincinnati Bengals. Their star quarterback, Joe Burrow. Of course, he has all the nicknames that people have been calling him: Joe Cool, Joe Swag, especially rocking the chain before the AFC Championship game. I know some people are comparing him to Joe Montana, your former teammate, and Tom Brady. Who do you compare his game to? One of those two, or another quarterback that people are not talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. He's just so good at throwing the ball, and he's such a good leader, and he's got that one thing that doesn't show up in combine interviews or in stats or anything else. He's got that ability late in the game just to break out the scalpel and cut your heart out. And that's, you either got that or you don't have it, and he's got it big time. That's what I like the most about him. Who do you compare him to? I don't know if that's really fair. There's a lot of great quarterbacks that can kind of move around, have the gun, throw that intermediate pass with touch. That's so impressive for a second-year guy. I guess maybe the guy I would say would maybe John Elway. Elway back before the knees started to go, when he actually could run around.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Very, very. Now, how much of a factor do you think, Cooper Kupp, OBJ, how effective, Jamar Chase, of course, how much of a factor does the receivers going to be? Is it going to be like who can kind of whose quarterback can get to them first, get that quick, pass play going? Who do you think has like the biggest advantage?
Yeah. I think the Rams, because they have Cooper Kupp. And I say that only because look at the stats. Look how many catches he has. Mm-hmm. And look at his game by game. I think the fewest catches he had in a game were like 6 for about 70 yards. And that's considered shutting him down. And everybody double teams him. And isn't it ironic how many times Stafford hits him in the corner of the end zone, in front of the safety and back of the corner, and teams know it's coming, and dang it, they do it every dang week. I don't know. Everybody, it's an idea. Wow, you got to double team him. Okay, great. Well, that leaves you with Odell, and that leaves you with some of the other problems they have. I'm curious to see the tight end position, how much of a role that's going to have in this game, because you got like Uzoma had that knee. Higbee did his knee in the NFC Championship game. So what kind of effect that has, because that has an effect. If you're going to run crossing patterns with all these great receivers to open people up, or you're going to try to threaten the middle of the field, tight end to me is the most important tool you have for threatening the middle of the field to intermediate area that opens up the deep stuff. Right now, as of now, both teams have tight ends that are limping.
CBS college football analyst Randy Cross and three-time Super Bowl champions join us here on the Hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and live in color. Sid Lakeena here with you. Randy, let's go back to the Rams and Matthew Stafford, who's another storyline for this week and to the big game on Sunday. How much pressure is on Mr. Stafford? Of course, he put up the great numbers in Detroit. He had his struggles with the Rams this year, even though he did put up great numbers again. He's done well so far in the playoffs. What do you expect from him on Sunday?
I expect him to play like Matt Stafford, which means he's going to throw for 275 to 350, probably 3 touchdowns and 1 interception if he plays his usual game. That's kind of him. He's got that kind of talent. He's lucky enough to get paroled out of Detroit and be able to play in a real football team. So it's paid off for him. And it's not often you see teams that kind of go for broke and sell out that actually work it and get to the Super Bowl, because usually that kind of crashes and burns for a year or so, and it takes them a year or two to get it together. But having Stafford at quarterback and the rest of these guys that they've traded for and brought in, Stafford's got all the talent in the world. I mean, he had it coming out of Texas when he was a quarterback there in high school. He'd had it at UGA. It was pretty obvious. That's why he was the number 1 pick. And after 13 years, it doesn't seem too diminished. He's a hard guy not to root for. I think once most fans kind of study him, study his story, read about what stuff he's been through, he's a good guy to sort of tag to and go ahead and root for.
How much of a factor do you think the Bengals defense can be to try to slow down that Stafford and that offense?
That's going to be the problem. The problem is your slot corners and those kind of guys, because it's not so much can we take the one guy away. You can always take one guy away, and if you're going to take one guy away for Cincinnati, it better be T. Higgins. It's got to be Cooper Kupp for the Rams. But for the defensive backfield of Cincinnati, they need help. And we've seen them with some pass rush. They've got guys that can get after it. They're going to have to see it. We saw the Rams play more physical than maybe any time of the year against San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. That's the kind of performance they need against the Cincinnati defense, because I think the Cincinnati defense has the ability not only to stuff run up pretty good, they also have the ability to go play sick 'em and go get the quarterback. And the Rams in the past have been a little soft, especially at tackle. They weren't in the championship game, to their credit. They can do it again. They got a shot at getting themselves a ring.
Heading down the home stretch with our good friend, Mr. Randy Cross, 3-time Super Bowl champion and CBS Sports Network's football analyst right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. Randy, I want to ask you about Rams head coach Sean McVay. Of course, this is his second Super Bowl in 4 years. We know what happened the first time in 2018 against the Patriots. He said this week that he's preparing differently than he did 4 years ago when Bill Belichick basically shut down his high-powered offense. How much pressure do you think is on him this Sunday?
Well, I don't know. How much more pressure are you under as a head coach if you get your team to the Super Bowl? Because he already knows firsthand what kind of situation you're in when you lose. Nobody gives 2 hoots. The loser of the Super Bowl just represents the other 30 teams that didn't get there. And the winner gets all the perks. And I think McVay fully understands that concept, having lived through it firsthand.
Now let's talk about the Hall of Fame real quick. Of course, they announced the class of 2022 at the NFL Honors last night. Leading the way, Tony Baselli, Cliff Branch, who should have gotten in, but that's a whole nother story. Leroy Butler, Art McNally, veteran official, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Coach Dick Vermeil, and Bryant Young, Chicago's very own. Some names that you kind of were surprised by, or were there other names that probably should have gotten in that didn't? What do you think about this class?
Yeah, not really. Every year, I think you look at it and you go, God, all those guys are Hall of Famers. I think that's great. Baselli, some people will get nitpicky and say he didn't play long enough, but what, he played 9 or 10 years? That's plenty long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was a dominant player. So if you didn't know about that era in the mid to late '90s, about Jacksonville and how good they were and the kind of teams Tom Coughlin had, then it's your fault. It's not his. I'm really, really happy for Dick Vermeil. He coached me for 2 years at UCLA. He and his wife, Carol, are two of the most wonderful people you'd ever want to meet. I can't say enough good things about him. He had a hell of an influence on me. I'm really, really happy that he got in. You mentioned Bryant McKinney or Bryant Young. It's fantastic. Another Golden Domer in the Hall of Fame. Just what we needed. I think it's great. I think all of them well earned. It's fun to see. It's the most exclusive fraternity in pro football.
Last question for me, Randy. Of course, the last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, your 49ers defeated the Bengals on the last second drive from Joe Montana to John Taylor. I know, of course, it was the last game for now the late, great Bill Walsh. I know that there are stories that come out about the winning coaches giving pregame speeches the night before, the day of the Super Bowl. If Bill Walsh did give a speech, what was that speech like? What was the mood like around the team before the game?
Before the game. I don't know if you can say much that's going to be memorable before the game, because most guys are about getting ready to crawl out of their skin. You're pretty intense before the game. Bill always had a way. Bill's specialty wasn't so much motivating a group of 50 guys. His best skill was he could motivate in his own way almost every single guy in the room. And he had a way to say a little something to you before the game, and it was pretty special. It's one thing I really, after I retired and got a chance to talk to head coaches all the time, I got to even appreciate him even more once I got to know a lot of other head coaches. But he wasn't big on rah-rah speeches at all. He was pretty down to business. That's the whole basis of his first 20 plays that he started doing. He wanted us concentrating on the individual plays and the defense and what we were going to do more than any kind of win one for the Gipper moment.
That sounds about right. Who's your winner and who's your MVP?
Yeah, I'm traditionally, Lakeena, I'm kind of a contrarian at times. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is down by 10 or so at halftime. And just like they did to Kansas City twice, they come back and beat them. I think the final score was like 26-21, Cincinnati. And I think it's finally going to pay off for the Bengal fans. And nothing against the Rams. I'm happy for them. I can't say I root for them because that would be wrong. I don't.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I think the Bengals win it. And what an amazing story this whole thing from Joe Burrow and just their team in general, and how they put this together in the last 2 or 3 years is remarkable.
All right, that was 3-time Super Bowl champion and CBS Sports Network's football analyst, Mr. Randy Cross. Thank you so much for taking time on your busy schedule to join us here today on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. You enjoy the game, enjoy the all season. We'll definitely do this again soon. Great conversation as always.
Thanks, man. This is so much fun as always. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thanks to both of you.
All right.
Thank you. Once again, that was Randy Cross, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the 49ers from those 80s teams. And he works for CBS Sports Network, does college and pro football. Lakeena, we have a couple minutes left before we hit the bottom of the hour break. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, we get a chance this weekend before watching the big game on Sunday. Check out those episodes of America's Game from NFL Network.
Yes.
The reason why I asked that question to Randy about the late great Bill Walsh is because on a couple of those episodes, I believe the 88 version, when they won, of course, remember they finished 10-6 and barely made the playoffs. They showed some film from Bill Walsh. He wasn't a comedian, but he said something lighthearted or just snuck it in there while he was going over the playbook with the rest of the team, and the rest of the squad just started laughing. And there was one time that Bill Walsh, he was a big boxing fan, so he put what do you call those punching
gloves,
bags?
punching bags.
He had a punching bags in the
gloves,
practice facility. He will start doing them, and some of the players joined in as well. And there was one time he took the team. Then was doing training camp on a fishing trip. And I said that was pretty good, pretty cool, especially during that era. So, things that we don't, that the coaches and the other coaches are saying to the players, we don't know until after the game or going down years down the road. Of course, if you saw, one of my favorite ones was the 2004 episode of America's Game. That was when the Patriots beat the Eagles. Of course, Terrell Owens and his broken leg and all that. He had a great performance. Right. Bill Belichick, they showed the film of him. He's not a rah-rah type guy, but he gave this speech to his team the night before and saying that the Philadelphia schools were going to shut down. They're going to have a parade down City Hall. And you could tell some of the guys were angry, and they lit them up. And they had Teddy Bruschi speaking on that. He said, "Yeah, you didn't see it as far as a rah-rah yelling, but you can tell it woke up some of our guys." Of course, you saw what they did.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you see like the different times. Also, you follow Randy at Randy Cross FB. Randy Cross Football, Randy Cross FB on Twitter. So for if you want great football insights, and he shares like a lot of these similar stories. And you look at the times when he played, like you said, he had the 2 weeks off. And of course, there were some years in the 80s and in the 90s too, in the early 90s, that there was only 1 week in between. So the 2 weeks now, I think, you kind of get your mind right. You're just sort of amped up for the game. And, like Bill Walsh was never, I think, Randy said, because, of course, he played for him for years. He was never the rah, guy. He always kind of like, straight to the point. Yes, he would say some funny things, but, he always kept it, pretty simple. So, that sort of, that sounds about right in his front. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting, though. Of course, I think he was going to pick the Rams, of course, being longtime rivals.
We should have known
that. You should have known that. But yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see how this game goes. And as we get to the bottom of the hour, I got to towel off after that interview, Sid, because there was as usual, great insight as always from him. Of course, like you said, he played in 3 of these, so he knows what it takes to get to this point. So I'm glad we were able to bring him on. So, to kind of the Super Bowl Friday, sort of, Football Friday edition of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. But not to worry, though. We're going to have, more, talking about the game itself. Of course, we're going to have our girl, Kegs, RB's Christine Manika. We'll have her thoughts on the Super Bowl and also all the stuff going on, too. So, a lot to do still. Don't go away. The Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NHL tomorrow night, the Blackhawks visit the Blues. 7 o'clock puck drop from St. Louis. Chicago 17-23-7, 41 points near the basement of the Central Division. The Blues winless in 2. They have 57 points, 13 points out of first place. Overall, they're 26-14-5. NBA tonight, the Bulls are home against the Timberwolves. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off at United Center. Chicago tied with Cleveland and Milwaukee. A game and a half out of first place behind the Heat in the Eastern Conference. Quick turnaround, right back at it tomorrow night hosting the Thunder. Former Bears quarterback Jim McMahon says he's in favor of a new stadium at Arlington Heights. Last September, the Bears said they agreed to buy the former Arlington International Racecourse for close to $200 million. They expect to close on it sometime in the next year. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Hey team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh man, are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports #Football Friday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. If you have a question or comment during any of our topics during today's now 90 minutes of extravaganza left, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something stupid, I know it's the big game weekend, but we still do not and will not tolerate any foolishness. If you try to do that, Lakeena will give you the boot.
Bye-bye.
Lakeena, let's continue the big game discussion between the Rams and the Bengals. Lakeena, here's my couple of keys for the game coming up on Sunday. For the Rams, as Randy alluded to during our interview with him, the Bengals will have to run the ball and run the ball with some consistency. I know the running lanes are not going to be there for Joe Mixon, but I think if they continue to do that, eventually Joe Mixon will bring one. You saw him almost do that in overtime against the Kansas City Chiefs 2 weeks ago in the AFC title game. I told you on this program that Joe Mixon would have to have close to 100 yards to have the Bengals have a chance to beat the Chiefs. They did that. Joe Mixon had 88 yards. He's going to have that same performance, perhaps a little bit more to beat the Rams. Number two, they have to protect Joe Burrow because, as we mentioned during the interview with Randy, they're not going to double team Aaron Donald a lot, but you. At least in the beginning of the game, I assume you had to run away from him because Aaron Donald's a man-child and no one person can handle him. It's not fair what he's doing, but it goes to a type of player that he is. And number three, we are on the opposite side for the Bengals. We know that Jamar Chase is going to get double covered like he was in the AFC title game. If Ozuma, the tight end, if he's available to play on Sunday, he's going to be key. But T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, those two will be the first options for Joe Burrow as far as the passing game is concerned.
Yeah, and I think for me, if you're the Bengals defense, can you try to slow down, that Rams offense? Can Trey Henderson, who's probably like the most named, guy on that front seven for the Bengals, can he make some stops? I know, Sam Hubbard, he's made some, big plays too at times. Also too in the secondary. I mean, Eli Apple, who's going to have the task of having to protect having to guard a Cooper Kupp, will be kind of like, back and forth between him and Von Bell. He can make plays too. He's been around for a little bit. So, and also too, I mean, I feel like, the O-line, we asked Randy about that. Can they keep Joe Burrow upright? That's going to be the key. I like to think that, look, and the Rams defense is a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, but a tad better than the Chiefs defense. So you're going to have to deal with, like you said, we're going to deal with Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. Don't forget about him. I mean, he's gotten better. He's been to a couple of Pro Bowls now. And of course, Von Miller, I mean, who's been in one of these and who has a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he's going to be the key here too. So yeah, try double teaming Aaron Donald. Yeah, you could try to do that, but that's a big task. So I don't know. I mean, it's just, it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes because they've had 2 weeks to kind of prepare. Can they keep Joe Burrow upright? I'm talking about the Bengals O-line. As for the Rams, will Sean McVay be conservative? That's what the big problem was the first time they went to the Super Bowl against New England. He was a little too conservative. That's sort of the one knock on him. Is he going to be more aggressive? That's going to be another interesting tap that we're going to have to see.
And also to remember that first Super Bowl 4 years ago for the Rams, Todd Gurley, who was injured during that season, he wasn't used as much. In him and of course the coaching staff, both of them were exchanging not verbal blows. Obviously, there was a whole lot of frustration. Hopefully, Mr. McVay learns from his experience if you're a Rams fan. But as far as Sunday is concerned for the Rams, Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, whoever decides to run the ball for the Rams, can you run it with some consistency? As you mentioned, Lakeena, will Sean McVay stick to that early if it's working? They got away with it in the NFC title game. I don't think you can get away with it here. If your running game is passable for lack of a better term, that opens things up for Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. And some teams, like the Rams, use the passing game to set up the running game later on in the game. That's how some teams operate. But we all know that Cooper Kupp is going to get double teamed too. But sometimes that Cooper Kupp is just so good that he could beat those double teams. I think that you'll see the value of OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., for those of you scoring at home. I think Odell Beckham Jr. can potentially have a good game here.
But also, too, remember that first Super Bowl Cup was hurt. He didn't play. So I think
Exactly.
that's sort of like the one thing that people are forgetting because, I think, now we'll get to see, like, maybe if he does have a great game, I talk about Cup, will that be the reason you think that maybe if he had played in that first Super Bowl, who knows what, they would have been the Rams would have been more aggressive. Now, both of these teams are 4 seeds. They get to join, that's Super Bowl 15 champion, Oakland. Well, I think, no, were they Oakland? I think they were Oakland at the time. 30, both of the Ravens Super Bowls, they were a 4 seed. They weren't a 1 or a 2 or a 3. The first Super Bowl that they won, no, it was the second one that they went, the Broncos, the second one the Broncos won, that was Super Bowl 37. And of course, Eli, 46, you guys remember the second one with Eli. And so either the Rams or the Bengals will join those teams at the 4 seed to win a Super Bowl. So, being a top 2, I guess, in this case didn't really matter too much, but I'm interested to see what's going to be, it's going to be, like 90 as Randy said, because remember, it's going to be early. It's going to be about 5:30-ish. It's going to be like 3:30. So it's going to be like super early for them. So it's going to be pretty hot. It might be a little bit dry and a little bit humid. Will that be an issue? Will nerves be an issue? Because I know that maybe nerves, because like I said, all but one of the Bengals, guys have played in the Super Bowl. Some of the Rams, from a couple of years back, that Super Bowl against New England, especially they're playing at home too. Will that, factor in the nerves as well? So that's another thing I'm kind of interested to see.
Yeah, like you mentioned, all their fans are not going to be there. We know that the first level of the Super Bowl, the first level of the stadiums are filled with corporate fans posing as Rams or Bengals fans. And they said, Randy Cross said in our interview the last half hour that NBC, most of these other networks too, they show a portion of the crowd and that things that represents the whole stadium, which is not true. But that's a whole nother issue. But I want to get back to the Rams defense. We know that Jalen Ramsey is one of the top corners in the league. He's going to be locked up on Jamar Chase. I'm really looking forward to that battle. As we said, Jamar Chase is going to get double teamed, but I want to see how much they blitz Joe Burrow, and will the Cincinnati offensive line pick up on it fast enough?
Yeah, that's another key too. I mean, especially with that O-line, the way that O-line is, you're gonna wonder, are they gonna be blitzing a lot, with the Rams defense? And look, are we gonna have like some unsung heroes? We'll talk more about this when our girl Christine joins us in a little bit. Will there be like that unsung hero that kind of comes out of nowhere? Will a Van Jefferson, or like I said, someone from the Bengals defense? Maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to think like who else, like out of the box, for that could probably sneak in there and win MVP. And it's rare. I think like Von Miller was the last defensive guy to win, of course, with the Broncos, let's just say a couple of years ago. And you rarely see a lot of special team guys. I think the last one that one was like Desmond Howard.
Yeah,
that Super Bowl that Brett Favre won, he didn't even win MVP. So Howard won it. And will it be kind of a guy that comes out of nowhere? Could it be an Aaron Donald? I'm sure he's going to be repped the first game. Will like maybe a Taylor Rapp, or some guy that kind of comes out of nowhere that sort of like becomes an unsung hero, that as we've seen.
Yeah, usually you have an unsung hero. Not just win MVP every once in a while, but an unsung hero that makes a big play that turns the game around. You mentioned Desmond Howard in the '96 Super Bowl against the Patriots. That was Bill Parcells' last game as head coach of the Patriots. We know about that. Remember Larry Brown in that '95 Super Bowl against the Steelers and the Cowboys. Larry Brown took the trophy, took his money, and went to the Raiders and disappeared after that. And also too, and I thought this guy should have won MVP in the '93 Super Bowl. It was the Cowboys and the Bills. It was the rematch in Atlanta. Of course, Emmitt Smith got that MVP. Yes. But I thought this person, James Washington, remember the Cowboys trailed 13-6 at the half. The Bills never scored again, and the Cowboys turned it on in that second half. But James Washington had an interception, a fumble, forced fumble and a fumble recovery. I thought you should have been MVP for that one. But as I mentioned, Emmitt Smith won MVP for that Super Bowl. And that was the last game of Jimmy Johnson's coaching career with the Dallas Cowboys. But you mentioned, Lakeena, it could be an unsung hero we're not talking about. It could be a kicker. It could be a punter. We can have somebody get a pump. Like I said, we'll get into those situations deeper next hour. But do not count out unsung heroes in this one, because it's always a play that's to be made. And sometimes it doesn't come from your superstar players. It comes from a guy that you never heard of. So pay attention to those elements on Sunday. You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition, live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you as we preview the big game between the Rams and the Bengals. Lakeena, this is one of the few times I miss being in the studio. We RP to the late Doug Banks of Chicago and former Chicago national DJ. The big game. I don't know why the NFL do that. Like we can't say Super Bowl. I won't get into that, but also, too, on the flip side for the Bengals, their defense, you mentioned Hendrickson and Hubbard. How much will they blitz Matthew Stafford? And I think if Tyler Higbee, their tight end, does not play, will Matthew Stafford use the running backs as part of the screen game if he's blitzed a lot? And how much will Cooper Kupp be double teamed? Like I said, I think OBJ will have a good game, but will Van Jefferson, the rookie wide receiver, show up? And how much will he be used? And as you mentioned, I believe the first 15 plays of the game from the Rams offense will determine how well will the Rams do in this game coming up.
Also, too, for the Bengals defense, can they force 3 and outs? That's going to be the key. If they can keep Stafford and the gang off the field, I think they could probably keep the Bengals in it. And also, too, if you're the Rams defense, you wonder, like, can you get to Joe Burrow, and how often can you do it? Can you try to maybe have to depend on maybe passing, or maybe try to get to a point where he can't do anything with it? You try to sack him. So I think there's going to be a lot of sort of like nuances, if you will. And look, could nerves be an issue? Sure. I mean, like I said before, for a lot of these guys, especially for the Bengals, this is new territory for them. And, it's going to get very interesting to see what they do here, because I feel like it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think the Rams are going to blow out the Bengals. I know that's like, the Vegas types are kind of, going to that. But you know what? I kind of feel like we'll talk more about this when our girl Christine joins us. But I just feel like it's going to get to a point where I'm like, okay, let's I'm ready for this game to get going. And I know some people kind of feel like it kind of snuck up on people. Like I feel like, because the Rams have been more like geared up to it. Like our buddy Armando, in our interview with Randy, said that he wished that the 49ers had won, because we could have gotten this was like the third time that the Bengals and 49ers have played each other in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they played twice in the 80s. Yep.
Yes.
81 and 88.
Yep. Randy was a part of both of those. And yeah, I mean, it's weird, but I think the Bengals, I think there's gonna be some nerves, but I think they'll be ready. I think they'll feed off Burrow. If Burrow doesn't show his nerves, and I think the team won't show. If he shows it, if he gets rattled a little bit early on, then he'll probably think, okay, things might go a little bit off the rails.
Yeah, before we move on, don't forget the element of special teams, not just a kicking game, but we could see a punt block, we could see a punt fake, a fake punt. That's always an element as well. And we've seen safety scored in the Super Bowl. Remember the 2011 Super Bowl, the Giants and Patriots, the second time. That was actually the first score of the game. And that was another safety. Oh, the Denver-Seattle Super Bowl, the 2013 one. Of course, Peyton Manning, he went to silent count after that. They lost the ball, fumbled the ball in the end zone. So that's an element as well that people should pay attention to watching the big game this upcoming Sunday. You're listening to Second City Sports, hashtag Football Friday edition. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you. Lakeena, let's move on to the NFL honors ceremony that took place last night. I saw the highlights, didn't get a chance to watch the entire broadcast, but the award winners were not surprising to me. Of course, Mike Vrabel was named head coach of the year. Andrew Whitworth, who's going to play this Sunday for the Rams, their longtime offensive lineman. He won Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And Aaron Rodgers picked up his second straight MVP award, and it gave an interesting speech afterwards.
Hmm.
Exactly. And there, I know you have the list in front of you as far as the other award wins are concerned. But in terms of the award wins, we weren't surprised of who won the awards last night. I told you Michael Parsons was going to win his award. Jamar
It was
Chase was
unanimous too.
yeah, and Jamar Chase for Offensive Rookie of the Year. That was an obvious one as well.
Yeah, I think those two are pretty obvious from the word go. Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year, which I'm not surprised. I know some people are kind of like, sort of thrown off by that. But yeah, look, the man almost was close to throwing like breaking like various receiving records. So, I think he definitely deserved it. TJ Watt won Defensive Player of the Year, and it was pretty cool that JJ Watt got a chance to present the award. So I thought that was a nice moment there as well. Of course, Mike Vrabel, the first time a Titans coach has won Coach of the Year, which you would think that wait, Jeff Fisher never won it. That's sort of interesting, but yeah, that was the case there. And of course, Chase won on the rookies. Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year, and yeah, I mean none of this stuff was really surprising. I mean, look, Michael Key, did a great job hosting, and they did it live, and they did it on a Thursday. I guess they figured that, because usually it's on a Saturday, so I think they figured that, you know what, no one's really watching not like network television on Saturdays. So I guess they decided to kind of do like, okay, we'll do it live, and we'll get to the Hall of Fame stuff in a second. I know we talked about it with Randy earlier, but yeah, none of it. I don't have a gripe about it. I know Aaron Rodgers. However folks feel about him, he has the numbers and such, so I had no problem with him winning. Of course, I think Brady got like 10, like 10 votes, and I forgot. I think it was Cup that got like 1 vote. So, like, I don't know. Well, we'll probably never know the breakdown, but I know how Arkers wasn't one of those folks that voted for him. Rodgers, I mean, but
according to Aaron Rodgers, not us,
right, not us, but but I have no gripes about the awards. I don't. Of course, Justin Tucker with the 65-yarder against Detroit, that one moment of the year, which, that I'm not, again, no gripe about that. None of it, there was none of it that was really, I'm about to say, I don't like, oh my God, how this, no, I was fine with all the winners.
Okay. Now let's get to the Hall of Fame list for the class of 2022. We say congratulations to all the honorees that is going to be honored later on this summer in Canton, Ohio. Of course, Leroy Butler, the inventor of the Lambeau Leap. I know he's a sports talk show host, AM 1250 Milwaukee. He's been getting patted on the back, and rightfully so, all day today. His show is currently going on as we speak. He was elected to the Hall of Fame. Of course, Tony Bassell, as we said, he should be in there. He is from the Jacksonville Jaguars, their first ever pick. And Dick Vermeil, it was a shocker to me that he hasn't been in there, but he's in there now. So congratulations to him. I know I think I was watching television. They said that he coached Kansas City. They didn't mention that he coached the Chiefs. But I mean, he coached the Chiefs the year he spent a year off. When he coached the Rams, he took a year off and then he coached the Chiefs for those 2 years.
Yep.
But he coached the Eagles back in the day. They lost to the Oakland Raiders at the time in the Super Bowl, following the 1980 season. So he's finally in there. I know you still had the list in front of you, Lakeena, but many Bears fans, including Devin Hester, he was shocked that he didn't get in. Even though this is of course, the 15-year anniversary of his opening kickoff return for a touchdown in Super Bowl 41 against the Colts. Devin Hester didn't get in this time. I believe he's going to get in next year. I'm not as upset as a lot of people are, but he's going to get in. But if he doesn't get in next year, then I'm starting to have a third ear. But I'm not as upset as some Bears fans are.
Yeah, I said this with our buddy Kyle Means and the rest of the gang yesterday. I wasn't surprised that he wasn't going to get in. Usually, a player like Hester, it's hard to kind of put him, and they usually have give special teams guys a hard time anyway. So I'm not like, oh my God, he didn't get in. Look, it's fine. I mean, I figured he wasn't going to get in. I'm a little surprised that Zach Thomas didn't get in. Especially since Jason Taylor got in, first ballot, which I was a little bit surprised by. I would have thought that maybe Thomas would get in before he did, but you know what? The late great Sam Mills got in, ironically in his last year of eligibility, mind you. So maybe they'll, they're very similar, play very similar styles. They weren't very big, but they were very, attack. They were very, tenacious and such. So, and their numbers are very similar. So hopefully now with Mills in, hopefully now that maybe Zach Thomas will get in next year.
Yeah, check out his Football Life episode from NFL Network. I hope it's on YouTube. I'm talking about Sam Mills.
It should be. It should be.
Very inspirational story.
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking. Lost him in 2005 due to cancer. So, also to Cliff Branch, who probably because they should have gotten in when he was alive. He died about a couple years back. Of course, won 3 Super Bowls with the Oakland/Los Angeles Raiders. It was a nice moment there. His sister, shared a moment. They all shared a moment. It was a very sweet. If you guys get a chance, look at that. Probably the most surprised, I think you would say, of course, Ark Manali, and of course, as a contributor, of course, longtime referee, he got in as well. Richard Seymour, some wonder that maybe he shouldn't get in. Maybe he probably should have waited a couple of years. So
I'm one of those people. I'm not saying he's not a Hall of Famer, but I thought he was going to wait at least about 3 or 4 years. But I was surprised he got in right away. I don't know what year eligibility was. His second?
Fifth.
Do you know?
Fifth
year of eligibility?
Yep. Fifth.
Okay, yeah, so it's about right. Yeah, maybe I thought he was going to wait another year, but it sounds about right. But he does have the stats to get in. Obviously, he's in now, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Bryant Young, which was probably the most surprising.
Yeah,
maybe I think if you look at all 8 guys that got in, I think Bryant Young was the most surprising because very durable. You look at his stats, you think, he won a Super Bowl, as a rookie with the 49ers against the Chargers when the 49ers just bum rushed the Chargers. I just, if you look at his numbers, 42 tackles. Of course, he won Comeback Player of the Year in '99. Of course, broke his, tore his ACL. Double-digit sacks in the season. In both '96 and '99. Almost 90 sacks. I mean, again, very durable, but his numbers really don't, jump out and say, "Oh my God, he's a Hall of Famer."
Mm-hmm. But I really don't have a problem too much with this class either, Lakeena. I could go on a meatball Bears rant about Leroy Butler. He was very good. He was one of the first safeties that I remember paying attention to and watching when they send the 8, 9 people, the extra blitzer, and this is the late great French Shermer, the defensive coordinator of the Packers during those days under head coach Mike Holmgren. That would send the safety up at the line to blitz the quarterback coming off on the side. He was one of the first safeties I remember. They used him to do that. So, and he picked off a lot of passes as well. As I mentioned, he's the originator of the Lambeau League. You see everybody doing it from around the league now. So he deserves it. I thought, me personally, if you want to go that Bears-Packers angle, that Hester should have got in over him. But Leroy Butler had an impact as well. So he deserves to get in. But if Devin Hester doesn't get in next year, now I'm going to start questioning. Hopefully he doesn't have to wait too long, but he's a Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of when, WHEN, when he gets in.
Yeah, it's not going to matter of first year, but when. I mean, this is first year, this is first year, so yeah, you kind of wait a few years. Now here are some of the names that will be up for next year for the first ballot for 2023. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Darrelle Revis.
He'll make it, but I don't know on first ballot.
He'll have to wait. Yeah, I'll say he'll have to wait.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas, first ballot. I think he's a first ballot.
Yeah.
James Harrison, maybe might have to wait maybe another year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make him wait a couple years.
Hopefully he will. Hopefully he'll stay calm. And also to
right.
Dwight Freeney.
He'll get in, but he'll probably have to wait a year or two.
Especially since, and also too, I think he'll get in eventually too. I think he may have to wait maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe like Richard Seymour did. Ware didn't get in, none of the wide receivers, well, except for Butler, Patrick Willis, Andre Johnson, Steve Smith Sr. I mean, you wonder what the thought process for picking these guys, and some people maybe even lobby for perhaps maybe raise up because you only get to pick up to 5 in the modern era, so maybe have that up to maybe like 7 or 8, maybe that should help a little bit.
I just want to say this before we close up shop for the first hour. Of course, you mentioned some of the other names that didn't get in. Of course, locally here in Chicago, we talk about Devin Hester, but Jay Hilgenberg, he should be available, should be mentioned for the Hall of Fame. I know Jimbo Covert got in last year, so congratulations to him. Jay Hilgenberg should get in the Hall of Fame at some point. Torrey Holt, the wide receiver from the St. Louis Rams. He played in 2 Super Bowls, won 1 title. He put up great numbers next to now Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce. He should be in. And so I'm looking forward to hearing those 2 names, hopefully sooner rather than later, get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Rondé Barber didn't get in either, so I think
he should be in. Like I said, I think he'll get into. But eventually. Will he be? Yeah. Will it be next year or maybe a year or 2 later?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. As our buddy Armando said, that Sam Mills played in the USFL.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and they say, well, I think they mentioned it too in his football life. But yeah, if he didn't play in the USFL, he doesn't make the NFL Hall of Fame. Remember, it's a Pro Football Hall of Fame. Armando, remember. It's a Pro Football Hall of Fame, not just NFL. It's a pro. So USFL, guys, maybe CFL guys. That's how Steve Young was able to get in first ballot. Not just what he did with San Fran, but also too the fact that he had a good USFL career. So I think it's sort of one of those things where you kind of like, you know what, okay, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, folks. So I know some people are kind of like, I know people are railing, not just that Hester got in, but yeah, Seymour got in, but Maybe that's sort of geared more to maybe that's good. That's a good sign for Dwight Freeney then.
Yeah, and don't forget some of your other Pro Football Hall of Famers played in USFL as well. Jim Kelly, of course, the late great Reggie White.
Yes,
and they played in the USFL. I've got a couple other stars that cannot register in my brain fast enough, but a few of your Pro Football Hall of Famers played in the USFL as well. So we can add the late great Mr. Sam Mills to that list as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Before any other final thoughts that you have for the NFL honors or the Hall of Fame and stuff before we go to?
Like I said, the award show. Like I said, I saw the highlights of it. The award winners. Congratulations to all of them. I don't have a problem with any of them. Any one of those winners and for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Maybe 1 or 2 of those names should have been added on there, but like you said, I know there's a limit. So hopefully for us Bears fans, Devin Hester will get in next year. I know a couple of people said, and I believe it was on Sean and Meyer's show, that Peanut Tillman got robbed. Will he get in? I don't know. Lance Briggs, I think he should be in, but he's going to have to wait a long time as well before he actually gets put in. I remember having a conversation with Ken Davis on the old D and Dave show back in the day, and I pushed back on it initially. I said that Lance Briggs was a very, very good player, but I don't know about Hall of Fame. Of course, Brian Urlacher, his teammate during those years, is in the Hall of Fame now. But I think Lance Briggs can make a case of getting in the Hall of Fame, but he's going to have to wait a while.
Yeah, I agree. I know some people, maybe Stephen Michael, perhaps probably should get in because his numbers and Richard Seymour's numbers are very similar. So, I think we can make your gripes about, okay, this guy should get in and this guy should get in. Look, we all know that Jimbo Cora should have gotten in, sooner. So I'm glad he finally got in last year. Also, too, remember Dan Hampton had to wait a while. So then Mike Singletary, Richard did too. Richard had to wait like 5 or 6 years before he got in. So, it gets there eventually. Plus, they have a veterans committee too. So even if Briggs and Peanut, if they don't get in, in this format, there's always the committee. And also too, what our buddy Armando said, I met Walter Payton at a Chicago Blitz game. Just me and him in the locker room. Peyton was on crutches and asked me to get him a glass of Gatorade. So, oh my gosh, Armando, that sounds like a cool story. I love that story. But yeah, so, I think the guys can eventually too. Look, Cliff Branch should have been in. Unfortunately, we won't see him. I'm sure he would have put his foot in that speech. But, it is what it is. But he finally got in. So, we'll see. I'm sure these guys will all get in eventually. Just got to wait.
Hour number 1 has officially come to a close. Stay tuned for more sports and more fun as Second City Sports continues with Christine Manika of KXRB Radio with her Super Bowl prop bets, and we review yesterday's NBA trade deadline deals. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to Second City Sports #Football Friday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NHL tomorrow night, the Blackhawks visit the Blues. 7 o'clock puck drop from St. Louis. Chicago 17-23-7, 41 points near the basement of the Central Division. The Blues winless in 2. They have 57 points, 13 points out of first place. Overall, they're 26-14-5. NBA tonight, the Bulls are home against the Timberwolves. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off at United Center. Chicago tied with Cleveland and Milwaukee, a game and a half out of first place behind the Heat in the Eastern Conference. Quick turnaround, right back at it tomorrow night hosting the Thunder. Former Bears quarterback Jim McMahon says he's in favor of a new stadium at Arlington Heights. Last September, the Bears said they agreed to buy the former Arlington International Racecourse for close to $200 million. They expect to close on it sometime in the next year. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Hey, team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh, man. Are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports #Football Friday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
And if you have any questions or comments for us during our last 60 minutes or so of this extravaganza, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, let's kick off hour number 2 of this great program by discussing the Bulls and the NBA at large. Of course, yesterday's trade deadline came and went with but without any quote-unquote controversy or big news, if you want to call it. I'll start locally. Lakeena, you on Bulls Twitter way more than I am. I'm sure a few of you idiots are upset that Arturas Karnisovas and GM Mark Eversley didn't pull off a move yesterday. We told you nothing was going to happen.
How dare they not pull off a trade?
Exactly. But we told you that their best option is to look at the buyout market, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks. And so we'll see if the Bulls can find anybody out the scrap heap there. But of course, the big trade news took place in Philadelphia. Ben Simmons, who's been sitting on his you-know-what all year, he was traded from the Philadelphia 76ers to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for James Harden and Paul Millsap. The Philadelphia 76ers sent over Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond and 2 future first-round picks. Lakeena, call me crazy, call me logical stupid. You can't be stupid and logic in the same sentence, but you know what I mean. I think this move would work out for both teams, but I think the Nets got just a little bit better in that trade yesterday.
I'm healed. Like, I'm healed. Like, oh, it's Miami, but hey, I'm healed. I mean, look, I think we all saw, we were kind of shocked that, after, all the, the trades and such, like you said, they're getting, Millsap too, the Sixers are. So, that definitely makes them scary. I know some Bulls fans were like, oh, how, why didn't, AK never say, pull off a trade or pull the trigger on something? Look, we told you the Sixers and the Nets had no choice to do the trades that they did. I mean, look, Dan, we'll see if Simmons, he's supposed to play tonight. How miraculous. But Harden as well. So
it's also vitamin E's that I take. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Exactly. And I feel for people who really do suffer from mental issues and such. But Simmons, all of a sudden he's healed. But we'll see. I mean, look, remember, KD's still out. The Nets are in free fall. I guess, they had to make this move. Harden was, throwing a fit. And same with Simmons. So we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Harden and Embiid get along. I'm already thinking that maybe it's going to implode. I'm giving it about like a week. over under. Because I just don't, because I kind of feel like, it's just, I don't know, Sid. I don't know how you feel about it, Sid, but I just feel like it's going to implode in Philly. But you never know. I'm sure, but Doc, can handle it. He's dealt with huge egos before in various teams he's coached at, so it shouldn't really be a problem for him. But yeah, there's another trade I want to talk about too. But yeah, let's finish up with this trade. But yeah, I mean, I think both teams can benefit from it. But can they get to the Eastern Conference at the top of the tier? That's going to be like the number one question.
I don't know if you guys read this article from yesterday in The Athletic. Joe Vardon used to cover the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day. He works for The Athletic now, covering the NBA. He had an interesting article about the James Harden, Ben Simmons trade. And of course, James Harden's relationship with Kyrie Irving. Very interesting. And I'll put it at that. For those of you that subscribe to The Athletic, check out that article from yesterday. It goes deeper into why that trade was made yesterday. But Lakeena, on paper, Philadelphia is the favorite. Let's not forget about Milwaukee. We'll talk about what happened to them in Phoenix last night coming up in just a second. But Philadelphia on paper is number one, followed by Brooklyn, especially when Kevin Durant returns after the All-Star break from his MCL injury. Who's the third team? I think Milwaukee will be that third team by default at the end, but after that, it's very competitive in the Eastern Conference. So we are looking at the standings right now. Miami is up there along with our Chicago Bulls. Of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're still a surprise team in the NBA this year. They're not going away anytime soon. Of course, we talked about in our last episode, Lakeena, they picked up Caris LeVert from the Indiana Pacers last week. So this Eastern Conference race is going to be fun following the All-Star break.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's especially since all these teams still have to play each other. So
exactly,
they're definitely going to be some knocking each other out, perhaps to get that.
You cannot take a day off. You cannot.
Yeah, no. And I think that'll be very interesting. And also that first meet between the Nets and the Sixers will be very interesting too in a couple of weeks. So we'll just see where that.
I'm sure that's going to be on ESPN and TNT. One of them is going to have it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be some flexing right now. I get with
yes,
especially with this trade. But yeah. We'll see if KD will be back for that particular matchup, but it's sort of one of those things where some of these trades where there's some trades that kind of made you go, huh, really? I mean, the Raptors they traded Dragic to the Spurs. Could be a guy that maybe perhaps the buyout market they could probably use. Thad was a part of that trade too, so for all the Bulls fans are hoping that maybe he would come back. Apparently, I know the Raptors are going to try and use him, so no hope of that. But yeah, Serge Ibaka, they added, the Bucks added some size. He went to the Bucks from the Clippers, also to DiVincenzo, I should say, not that DiVincenzo. Milwaukee sent him in a 4-team trade. Marvin Bagley, the third, he's going to Detroit. I mean. Could be another buyout guy. Among there are many other trades. CJ McCollum, got traded to New Orleans. I mean, and in that era with him and Dame. So I know Dame reiterated that he wants to stay in Portland. They're gonna have a lot of money come off the books, but okay. He's trying to be classy about it. But I'm sure he's not.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. A whole lot of things change in the NBA, so we'll see what happens.
Sacramento is interesting too. I mean, they got Sabonis among others in the trade with the Pacers. Does anybody know what Sacramento's doing? Someone please tell me. Because some of these trades were so Kings, but what?
I was looking at the standings before yesterday's deadline, Lakeena. I said Sacramento, they're not playing that great. I know they split their home series with the Timberwolves earlier this week, but they're 2.5 games out of the 10th spot. After all that madness, I know why, basketball-wise, why they did it, but really? Really? I know there was rumors out there that De'Aaron Fox may go. Obviously, he's still on the team. I know there was rumors that he was going to get traded for Julius Randle of the Knicks. I was listening to some New York radio yesterday, i.e. WFAN yesterday, and there was some host and a few fans that were upset that Julius Randle wasn't traded. So for Sacramento's side, I don't know. I know you're trying to keep your fans interested. I know they play in their new arena. I believe that's year number 3 of their new arena, number 3 and
Mhm.
number 4.
Yep.
But I know you try to keep fans interested. You haven't made the playoffs since 2006. I don't know.
Nothing else to say there. You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Sydney Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. We're talking NBA trades and some NBA as well. We'll get to NBA on the court in just a minute here, but I mean, it's sort of like you look at the standings now, Sid. I'm looking at, I know that the Jazz, they traded Joe Ingles, who is hurt, so he's not, he's gone for the season. They trying to add more depth there, but I mean, maybe like I said before, I mean, there's only a 4-game, or a 5-game you want to add, Boston in there, a gap between first and 7th place. So there's going to be a lot of teetering here, especially with these trades that have been made. So that's going to be very interesting too, especially since Miami has won 4 in a row, and I know the Bulls, had a nice win a couple of days ago against Charlotte. I think they needed that desperately.
Yes.
Since they started a 6-game homestand, coming up before the break. So, but yeah, we might see a whole lot of this stuff. I mean, Cleveland's right there. Like I said, I know they made some trades, but I still don't think they're going to be up there. They might be like down to like maybe the 6th part. I just don't think it happening.
The Boston Celtics traded almost half their team yesterday. Dale Tice, the former Bull, is back with the Celtics. I was like, why can't he work his way back to Chicago? Why?
I wanted him to stay in Chicago so bad. Dang gubbit. Ugh. Well, anyway, Milwaukee, look, Toronto could probably make a move too. They made a couple of moves too, so they might be able to sneak in there too in that top 4. You never know, but the Nets, I know they've lost 10 in a row. They're in free fall, so we'll see if they can, Simmons kind of give them that extra oomph that they need. Charlotte, they're kind of, like I said, they've lost 6 in a row too, so
I think they made a move too.
Yeah, they've made a couple of moves. Atlanta's made a move as well to kind of shore up their depth. So
John Collins is still on the team.
Yes, yeah, right. I know. So people were saying that maybe he would get traded. He didn't, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting though. I think the East. I mean, that not just the top tier, but also the bottom tier as well.
Yeah, like I said before, you cannot take a night off if you any of these teams 1 through 10. I know eventually it goes to 1 through 8 when it's all said and done at this playing tournament crap, but you cannot take a night off. You cannot. And it's going to be fun. I think it's good for the game. I know some people want the NBA to be like the NFL in parity. You kind of got that last year with all the COVID stuff going on, this shortened 72-game regular season. We may still see some elements of that this year. Of course, COVID's still hanging around, even though restrictions starting to get lifted, including here in the state of Illinois, followed by the city of Chicago. We won't get into that too much because we're not a political show, but you see the climate started to change a little bit. But as far as the competition on the court is concerned, this is good. And we'll see who has the best talent, who's playing at the right time, who's going to be the healthiest heading towards the playoffs. After the All-Star break, it should be fun.
A lot of fun too. I know that the Lakers tried to make some trades. They couldn't get any takers. Then they tried to get rid of Horton Tucker and a couple other guys. To try to get Kendrick Nunn. That didn't materialize. The Clippers basically traded like half their guys. So we'll see how that works out for them. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Out west, I mean, can Phoenix hang on to that 1 seed? They've won 4 in a row. I know they won last night
against Milwaukee.
Yeah, Golden State. I know they've been struggling a little bit. They've lost a couple in a row. I think they were kind of waiting for Draymond to get back.
Yeah, I saw that real quick. Real quick. Looking, I saw the fourth quarter of their game last night with the Warriors and the Knicks. The Knicks did everything they could in the last 5 minutes to give that game away.
Yep, they did.
But I saw Steph Curry miss that layup with about 40 seconds to go. I said, this is going to come back to haunt the Warriors, and that's exactly what happened. Now, Klay Thompson, even though they denied Steph Curry the ball in that last play of regulation of the game, Klay Thompson faked out Evan Fournier, had a great look. It just didn't go down. But
it didn't.
Not to worry about the Warriors too much. That was a great win for the Knicks. I'm sure Julius Randle and some of his teammates were relieved that they didn't get traded yesterday. So that's probably why they were really happy as well, because they got in their butts kicked earlier this week at Denver as they still continuing their West Coast road trip. But that was a big win for the Knicks last night in more ways than one.
I know they needed that win desperately because there have been a lot of rumors about that. And I know that Randall's glad he didn't get traded. He might leave, in the offseason, so you never know.
We'll worry about that later. But right now, I'm still here. Let's play.
Yeah, let's try to finish the season strong. Now the Lakers lost to Portland a couple of days ago after being up big. Yeah, James Worthy, if you saw his comments, he wasn't very happy. And yeah, and that's probably about as angry as I've seen him. So, it's sort of one of those things. I know Magic has some comments as well on his Twitter, but it's just like, look, what can you do? Is there anything that the Lakers can do? I mean, they tried to trade, but that didn't. Nothing could. They don't have.
We don't
anything
want Russell Westbrook's contract.
They didn't want.
That's what
Yeah,
Houston
exactly.
say. We had him before. We don't want that again. We're trying to rebuild. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah,
That's what that was.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
what that
One
was. Yeah,
more again, as the kids would say.
absolutely. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
bye-bye.
gonna be bye bye. So yeah,
There
so
we go.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know I know some people said the Lakers have hit rock bottom, but I don't know what do you think? It's sort of like, we've seen this movie before in these last few months, but it doesn't look good for the Lakers right now.
I still think they'll find their way to get into the play-in tournament, but like you said, right now it's not good. We said this 1,000 times. We'll say it 1,001 times. LeBron James, when you get a polarized figure like this, you hand the keys over to him, your franchise over to him. This is what happens. You chose your buddy Russell Westbrook over DeMar DeRozan and Buddy Hield, who was traded, who was traded yesterday. This is what happens. I believe the oldest team in the league, the quote unquote youngest person is Taylor Horton Tucker, followed by Kendrick Nunn, who hasn't played this year, Chicago's very own, and Malik Monk, your three youngest players. I know Austin Reeves a rookie, but still your youngest three youngest players that I mentioned on that roster. It's not good. I know Russell Westbrook he didn't play on Wednesday because of back tightness, quote unquote, but he was benched the last few games in the fourth quarter. I know he said he's trying to adapt to his role, but he's battling with himself in terms of goals. Remember, he was the man with Kevin Durant at OKC. Even after Durant left, Russell Westbrook was the main. So he's been used to being the guy for so long. He's coming to a crossroads of what do I do? And you cannot do both. Like I said, this goes deeper than Westbrook, but I'm just saying one of the problems is with him. I think it's an eternal battle with him as far as how can I balance not being the man as much and doing what I need to do to help the team win. Remember, I said, Lakeena, coming into the season, his numbers were going to come down some, but it was going to help him if he realized it was going to help him along the way because he doesn't have to do everything like he did at OKC, Washington, and Houston to a lesser extent when him and Harden were teammates once again. So, but he just hasn't figured it out yet. Hopefully he figure it out soon.
Yeah, and I think this all-star break is just what he needed. It's just what the doctor ordered. So we'll see what happens there. Real quick, what kind of caught your eye this week in the NBA on the court?
On the court, we'll go back to last night's action. As we always do, we go backwards. Of course, the Suns beat the Milwaukee Bucks 131-107. If you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, you may have a little side eye, but you guys are still going to be okay. Just as long as you finish in the top 3, top 4, you'll be okay. Phoenix is on a roll right now. Chris Paul is playing out of his mind. Devin Booker, an all-star. DeAndre Ayton, who I thought should have been an all-star. He's still doing very well. JaVale McGee, we can clown on him all we want to, like Shaq did in the past, but he's the kind of guy that Suns team needs right now coming off that bench. I wish he was on the Bulls right now. He'll solve all the Bulls' problems, especially defensively in the interior, but that's not going to happen. But the Phoenix just keep on rolling. The Raptors won again last night in Houston. Scotty Barnes, along with Evan Mobley of Cleveland, should be your top 2, unless I'm looking at something wrong, Lakeena. Those 2 players should be your top 2 candidates for Rookie of the Year. Dallas made a move yesterday. I know they beat the Clippers last night. Dallas made a move. They get rid of Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis Luka Doncic tandem is now over, and so they're making moves. I kind of like what they did, bringing over that shooter from Washington. Jason Kidd's gonna have a balanced team now, so I expect Dallas to keep rolling. They were starting to climb out of it anyway. It looks like they have a more balanced team now.
Luka had 51 leading the way there. I know there were rumors that they didn't get along, he and Porzingis. So now that he's out, now I guess it's his show fully as well. Like you said, with a nice win against the Clippers last night. The Mavs. I mean, the Washington. Of course, the Nets have now lost 10 in a row. they lost by 1 to Washington. So
that game
without Bradley Beal, mind you, remember he's done for the year with the wrist and with having wrist surgery. So he's done for the year. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that the Nets weren't able to take advantage of that, but
yeah, and they got embarrassed on Tuesday by the Boston Celtics. So I told you the Celtics are not that great, even though they're starting to make a move now. Excuse me, but the Celtics handed the Nets their worst loss of the season on Tuesday. But one more game that I wanted to highlight from this past week. Phoenix wrapped up their Eastern portion of their road trip by defeating Philadelphia 114 to 109. I did get a chance to check out some of this game. Philadelphia was up on the Suns early, but the Suns struggled shooting, but it was Chris Paul and Devin Booker once again leading their team in the second half. Could it be a finals preview, especially now with all the moves being made? It's very possible. I'm not predicting it, but it's very possible.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Harden versus Booker. I mean, that would be very interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can finish strong. I mean, the Sixers. I mean, so we'll see what happens there. Sacramento, their new look Sacramento, team. I don't know what the heck they're doing. They had an interesting week. They lost to the T-Wolves, but yet, they beat the T-Wolves again. This was a makeup game, this game from earlier this season because of COVID. So they decided to do it kind of like a back-to-back sort of thing. I know it's weird, but it's a COVID thing. But yeah, that was interesting. They had an interesting week that the Kings did. So it's just some highlights there as well. Like I said before, Memphis, just hammered the Clippers on Tuesday. John Morant had 30 leading the way there. We'll see if
your dark horse candidate for MVP. I keep telling y'all.
Well, we'll see if the Grizzlies can keep it up. I know they made a minor move, so we'll see if they can keep it up as well. Let's see what else kind of caught my eye this week. I know that like I said, Utah. They traded Joe Ingles. They beat the Warriors. Kind of took advantage of that. 111-85. Like I said before, I mean, with Mitchell being back, after finally being back from protocol, he's still kind of. What was that? Oh, okay. Live television, live folks, we're live here. We're doing it live. But it was Bogdanovich who led the way with 23. They had like bench players. Jordan Clarkson had 13 off the bench for the Jazz. So we'll see if they can kind of, especially with their new guys, they can kind of see how they mesh well together, so they can make a move in the West.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Lakeena, quickly before we get to the key games for this coming weekend in the National Basketball Association, did you check out that sham of a All-Star selection special last night? What first grade, kindergarten, high school presentation at the end? That wasn't a easy setup. I don't know what was. Tell folks about those that missed it.
Well, they had Team LeBron and Team Durant. Of course, LeBron James and Kevin Durant. They were picking teams as they've done the last few years, how they've done this format here. And when it got down to James Harden, I forgot who the other player was, but
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. When it got down to Gobert and Harden, it was KD's pick. It was his turn. He wanted no part of it. So, and I guess he did, and I guess LeBron didn't know for whatever reason. I guess he didn't know that Harden was nursing a hamstring injury. So I'm going to do an air quote for those who aren't watching this on YouTube. But of course, I think that Charles said, well, he's hurt. I think he did the same thing, and he just started laughing. And of course, LeBron, of course, the clip of LeBron with the clipboard. That was sort of like the context of what that was. So. But LeBron picked Harden, of course. Gobert ended up going to Durant's team, and I actually like how they do it now. So I'm fine with how I know some people are kind of like worried about how they're doing it, but yeah, it makes it fun. It keeps it fresh. They give funny moments like this.
Yeah, and like I said, that was very predictable. What happened last night? I said, okay, you could get a bunch of first graders to do better than that, but we'll see what happens with the game. Like I said, these games have been competitive, especially with that charitable component added to. We saw it here in Chicago a couple years ago. Those players are playing their hearts out. So I do like that aspect of it. So like I said, the All-Star break will take place next weekend from the city of Cleveland. Lakeena, let's go quickly before we hit the bottom of the hour break and bring our girl on, Christine Manika. Key games for the National Basketball Association starting tonight, Friday, Cleveland at Indiana at 6 o'clock. The OKC Thunder against the 76ers tonight at 6. I assume no James Harden. Yeah, he still had to have a few more days to nurse that quote-unquote hamstring injury. That's at 6 o'clock. At 6:30, San Antonio and Atlanta. At 6:30 tonight on NBA TV, it's the Nuggets and the Celtics. Denver at Boston. Remember, no ESPN Friday night game for tonight. At 7 o'clock is the Timberwolves at the Bulls. That's on NBC Sports Chicago locally. I know it's Bally Sports North where you folks in Minnesota and NBA Elite Pass across the country.
Yes.
And then at 8 o'clock tonight, very light schedule, wrapping up Orlando at Utah.
That should be an interesting game too between Minnesota and Chicago. That should be. I know Minnesota's been kind of right there in that play-in, so that should be a fun one at the UC tonight. On tomorrow's game, which is Saturday. Note the start times or some of these. Knicks and Portland at 4 o'clock. Remember, that's the start time there. I think this is a makeup game too. I think so. That's probably why for the early start. Memphis and Charlotte. That should be a fun one there between two very young, exciting teams. Two completely different styles though, so it'll be interesting which style wins out. Sacramento and Washington at 6 o'clock. Washington's sort of trying to kind of keep things afloat, but we'll see how maybe they'll start going to free fall here. San Antonio and New Orleans at 6 o'clock. This should be a really good one. I'm surprised this isn't televised somewhere. Cleveland and Philadelphia at 6:30.
I'll be definitely tuning into that one via this computer screen. That's going to be fun.
Another fun one, Denver and Toronto at 6:30. Will we see Ben Simmons make his Nets debut in Miami against a lot of tech hires and the Miami Heat?
I'll be definitely looking at that one too. That's at 7 o'clock. OKC and the Bulls back-to-back for the Chicago Bulls at home. That's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
For both teams too. For both.
Yes.
For both.
Yep. Clippers at the Mavericks once again at 7:30. At 8 o'clock, the Orlando Magic would pay a visit to Phoenix to take on the Suns. And then the Saturday night primetime game on ABC, the Lakers and the Warriors. Especially after what happened to both teams, especially the Warriors last night. I think the Warriors will have a little something for the Lakers. And I think the free fall will continue for the Los Angeles Lakers team.
Orlando and Phoenix finishing up that one. And a very light schedule for Super Bowl Sunday. The 1 o'clock game on ABC. You got Atlanta and Boston. Like I said, Boston has traded like half their squad. So we'll see how they look. And also too, Minnesota and Indiana. So hopefully Minnesota can take advantage of kind of like Indiana kind of, rebuilding, if you will.
All right, and that's your schedule for the National Basketball Association for this weekend. Lakeena, we have to take one more time out. When we return, our girl Christine Manika, she's back with her Super Bowl prop bets, and we have to get into some sports and media news and some news made by our Chicago White Sox, even though technically baseball is still in a lockout, and we'll have a whole lot more fun to wrap up today's show. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You listen to Second City Sports #Football Friday edition live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. NHL tomorrow night, the Blackhawks visit the Blues. 7 o'clock puck drop from St. Louis. Chicago 17-23-7, 41 points near the basement of the Central Division. The Blues winless in 2. They have 57 points, 13 points out of first place. Overall, they're 26-14-5. NBA tonight, the Bulls are home against the Timberwolves. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off at United Center. Chicago tied with Cleveland and Milwaukee, a game and a half out of first place behind the Heat in the Eastern Conference. Quick turnaround, right back at it tomorrow night hosting the Thunder. Former Bears quarterback Jim McMahon says he's in favor of a new stadium at Arlington Heights. Last September, the Bears said they agreed to buy the former Arlington International Racecourse for close to $200 million. They expect to close on it sometime in the next year. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Hey, team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh, man. Are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the hashtag Football Friday edition. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. Wrapping up today's show, we have a little bit over a half hour left in the program. We're going back to our big game discussion between the Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. The NFL's, I know. The 56th edition of the NFL Championship game will take place on Sunday in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. The game can be seen on NBC starting. The game time will be at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And to join us to discuss Super Bowl prop bets and a whole lot more, our girl, she's back from KXRB Radio in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She's the one and only Miss Christine Manika. Hello, Miss Christine.
Hello.
We doing good. How are you?
How are you?
You know what? I don't know. Did you tell everybody where I was or no?
No, but you can if you want to.
I mean, there's an article that I wrote about it, so might as well. Yeah, I had COVID, so I'm fine. I thought it was a fluke. In all honesty, when I tested positive, I was really lucky. I had pretty much mild symptoms, little to no symptoms. And yeah, I was able to go back to work for 1 day last week since I'm quarantined. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, we're glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, that's the important thing. That's where we're happy to have you back and you're starting to feel better. And that's the important thing. So, welcome back, Christine. What are your synopsis of this game? Because I was, been telling Sid, we had Randy Cross on, 3-time Super Bowl champion. You can go back and replay that, folks, on the Sports on Chicago's YouTube and Facebook pages. But I feel like this could go one of four ways. This, Super Bowl. Either, the Rams blow out the Bengals. I don't think that's going to happen. The Bengals, kind of like pull away late. The Rams pull away late. Or we get like a last-second field goal, maybe Evan McPherson, or maybe the Rams kicker get a field goal, to win it. What do you think?
I think those are all really good, synopsises of what could happen. It's tough because these teams, they've never faced each other before. On one side, you have a whole caliber of elite athletes, and I'm talking about the people from the Rams. You have Darnold, you have Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp, and then you also have Von Miller, Odell Beckham. So the list can just go on with the amount of athletes that are on that all-star roster for the Rams. On the Bengals, you got a lot of young blood on there. You got Joe Burrow, who I called was going to be the comeback player of the year, by the way.
You called it. Yes, you did.
Thanks.
Who's not new to the NFL or to a big stage, but he is new to this type of setting. You also have Jamar Chase, the rookie of the year now, and this is his first time. So you have a lot of first-time scenarios happening on the other side of the field. But then again, they have the abilities to hopefully keep up with the Rams. How are they going to stop Darnold? I don't know. Like, the O-line better be gaining a couple of pounds or something to really push him back. But I think anything can happen. I wouldn't count the Bengals out because, my heart is rooting for the Bengals. But when you look at the experience and the caliber of athletes, like I mentioned, from the Rams, I think the Rams have a chance of winning, but it won't be a blowout.
Yeah, if you have a question or comment for us, get out of that system. If you have a question or comment for us, who's going to win the big game between the Rams and the Bengals, please go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your predictions in the comment section. We can get them up on the screen for you. Christine, are you ready to make some before we get our predictions? Who's going to win? Are you ready to predict on some prop bets?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right,
that's my answer.
Here we go. The national anthem, over or under 2 minutes.
Over.
We'll start with you, Christine.
Over. It's Mickey Guyton. She's going to do
Yes.
this big. She's had an incredible start to her career. She had a little bit of turmoil there for a little bit, but she's going to make this big. So it's going to be over 2 minutes.
I think it's gonna be just under. I feel like I know that she's gonna, she
Ooh.
doesn't seem like the kind of person that's gonna like drag it out. I think she's gonna like keep it very slow and steady. She's a very mellow performer. I feel like so. I think she's good. I think it'll be just under. Can I push? There's gonna be a couple push. Can it be like right at 2 minutes?
Of course she
So
is.
what are we saying the national anthem's going to start? Are we saying it starts right after the announcer introduces or right when the music starts?
I
That's a good
assuming when the
question.
music starts.
The music starts, I think. So
Okay.
yeah, so it could be. I'll say just. I'll change my mind. I'll go over. I think
Go
just a little
over.
bit over. Yeah.
I'll be the lone wolf in the room. I'll say slightly under. Coin toss, heads or tails?
Oh, I hate.
Oh boy.
Oh Jesus.
Well, here's a fun fact. Any player, any team, I should say, that's won the coin toss in the last 5 years has not won the game. So keep that in mind too. I will tails. Everybody says tails. I'm gonna go say tails.
I know it's 50-50, but I'm going with the old reliable heads here. I want to say heads.
I'll go with Christine and go with tails. Let's see. First offensive play, pass/sack or run?
Jeez.
Are you going to start with this one, Lakeena?
I'll start them. I'll say it depends on who starts first. I think if the Rams decide to let the Bengals receive or the Bengals decide to take the ball first, it might be a sack. It might be like the first game right out. I think the Aaron Donald sack. That's what I'm picking. That's what I'm going for. Aaron Donald sack to start off the game.
For the heck of it, because they don't want to be too explosive right away, I'm gonna say they're gonna run it. They're not gonna pass it. They're gonna run it. Who's ever got the ball first.
I'll say run as well. Team to score first, Rams or Bengals?
Easy Rams.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be the Rams.
Yeah, I say Rams. If it's a field goal, I still say it's gonna be the Rams that'll score first.
I'll go opposite. I'll go with the Bengals. First scoring play, touchdown or field goal/safety?
I'll say field goal.
I'm going to go with the touchdown.
I will go with the field goal. Team to score longest touchdown, Rams or Bengals?
Longest as in longest driving touchdown?
Yeah, team to score longest TD. I'm assuming the longest play for a touchdown.
Play, maybe?
Yeah.
I'll say maybe Bengals. Maybe, Burrow, he slicks it to Chase, for a long touchdown. I can see that happening.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, this is tough. If you're talking about throwing, then Stafford's going to get that. But then again, Burrow is right up there with him too. And I think Burrow had 446 yards passing in week 17, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to go Bengals. I got my faith in Joe Burrow, so I'm going to go with the Bengals for that.
I'll go with the Rams for this one. Field goal over 44.5 yards, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say yes as well.
Issue. Yeah, win won't be an issue. It's going to be hot and a little bit, not like
they're indoors.
They'll be indoors. They'll be indoors. So yeah, win won't be an issue. So yeah, it'll be a long field goal.
Which is why it's hilarious how everyone's talking about the weather. I'm like, guys, they're indoors.
They're indoors.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Yes,
2-point conversion. Yeah, 2-point conversion attempt. Yes or no? I'll say no.
I'll say no too.
I'm going to go with the yes. In case the team wants to capitalize on something, I'm going to go with the yes.
Okay. Either quarterback throws for 300 yards, yes or no? I'll go first. I'll say yes.
Yes.
Yes, both of them will, I think.
Okay. Touchdowns of 1 or fewer yards, yes or no?
No.
I say no too.
Make it 3, no. A lineman scores a touchdown, yes or no?
Interesting, but no.
I was trying to say we're going to get a big guy touchdown. It rarely happens in a Super Bowl.
Last time it was Mike Vrabel on memory.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, I'm sure he has interesting memories about that. I'll say no. Like I said, it's rare.
Make it 3 for 3, no. Team to record most sacks and takeaways, Rams or Bengals?
Rams.
Rams. Oh yeah, Rams easily.
Yeah.
I'll say Rams too. Onside kick return for a touchdown, or punt return for a touchdown. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, it's rare that I get a punt return for a touchdown. So it's been a while. So I'll say no.
I'll say no as well. Of course, we all know that the halftime show will feature Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar, which has been added to the lineup. He's a new rap artist from Los Angeles, California. He's been out there for the last few years. Where is that prop at? The late great Tupac Shakur, who was originally from New York. He was living in LA when he unfortunately passed away in 1996. Tupac's song played during the halftime show. I'll say yes, because remember in 1995 when Tupac came out of jail, he did California Love with Dr. Dre. I'm sure that's going to get a play for a few seconds during that halftime show. I promise you. So that's an easy yes for me.
Yes. I mean, you can't do California without that song. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it would be a shock if Dre doesn't put that as part of the medley. You got to have that in there. You have to.
Okay.
You got to.
The team to score last: Rams or Bengals?
Bengals.
Score last?
Yes.
I'll say Rams.
I'll say Bengals. Either team score over 27.5 points. Yes or no? This is an easy yes for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's see. Let's find another one here. Highest scoring quarter: first, second, third, or fourth quarter?
First.
I'll say third. I'll say the fourth. I think this is going to be, especially if I know it's going to be close. Someone's going to pull away late. I think that's where the points are going to be at. Fourth.
I'll say second quarter, because I have a sneaky feeling that the Rams will probably pull Kansas City Chiefs did in the AFC title game. But, Kansas City messed around, and that's what cost them in the second half. I'll say the second quarter. So I'll go with the second quarter on that. Over, under 48.5 total points scored. Over 48.5 or under 48.5?
Oh, under.
Over. Oh, 40. Oh, I'll say, oh, gosh. Oh, Jesus. I'm really okay for it.
That's total points combined with both teams.
Combined?
Yeah.
I'll say under. I'll say under then.
Under 48.5, Lakeena? Okay.
Yeah.
Christine?
Under.
Ooh, 20 is. I'll be the eyeball in the room. I'll say a slightly over. Okay. Let's see. A couple more here. Let's see. I think we covered most of them. Oh, over under 3.5 times specific player's wife, girlfriend, mentioned on shown on TV rather. Over under 3.5 times specific player wife / girlfriend on TV. Over under 3.5, which means Matthew Stafford's wife will probably be the first on the list. You said over 3.5, Christine? Yes. Okay. Lakeena?
No, NBC doesn't do that type of thing, so I'll say under. We may get one shot of her of Kelly, but under. The NBC doesn't do that type. If this was Fox doing a Super Bowl, which they will next year, then I say over. But since it's NBC and they rarely do that type of thing, in their football coverage, I'll say under.
I'll go with Lakeena. I'll go with under as well. One more, and this is from my personal list. Of course, Devin Hester, 15 years ago for the Chicago Bears, had the opening kickoff return for a touchdown. That record still stands today. Will it be broken on Sunday? I'll go first. Hell no.
Hell no.
No.
All right. Good. Moving on. Super Bowl MVP, quarterback or non-quarterback? Christine, I'll start with you.
I would hope it would be a non-quarterback, especially, oh boy. It's so basic, but it's going to be a quarterback. It's going to be Stafford or Burrow, whoever wins it.
Yeah, I think this is one of those years where we may see, could maybe an OBJ, could a Jamar Chase.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, wouldn't Chase be like, if Chase does win, would it be like the first? He would be the first rookie to win MVP, right?
I would think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, OBJ, maybe Cooper Kupp. I'll say a non-quarterback. It could be a defensive guy. Who knows? But so I'll say non-quarterback.
I'll go with quarterback. And our last prop bet here, it says on the sheet here, if I can get it up. Just bear with me for 1 second. Let's see, where did it go? These darn computers. Here we go. Gatorade shower, yes or no? I think that's an easy yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The question is, what's going to be the color? If the
Purple.
Bengals, is it purple, Christine?
Purple. Just because it's so out of the blue, purple.
Okay.
I'll go with like basic. I'll say orange.
Let's see. I'm gonna say light blue.
Okay.
Oh, it's very specific.
For the Rams, if the Rams win, I can see light blue. I can see that. Yeah. All right. So those of our prop bets for Super Bowl 56. Of course, let's get to our picks. Christine, I'll start with you. The Rams are playing at home stadium. It's the second year in a row the NFL team has done this. Of course, it was Tampa Bay last year. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This year, the Rams will try to repeat what the Bucs did last year, winning on their own home turf. The Rams are favored by 4 points even. Christine, who do you have, and what are your keys to the game, and who do you have?
Gosh, this is tough just because you have heavy hitters on both sides of the ball for the Rams, whereas the Bengals, they kind of struggle a little bit on the defensive side. Their offensive side, pretty strong. Defense, they could, compete with them, but could they keep up with a guy like Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford? That's going to be the main question. Oh, and Odell Beckham. Like, seriously, that's going to be really the key points there. I listened to a lot of podcasts this week, a lot of radio too, and I heard someone say that this game for the Rams against the Bengals, they called it child's play, which I'm like, okay, I wouldn't go that far in it, just because when you're looking at the teams that they faced in the postseason and who's on their roster, this is like going to be nothing for them, or at least some people think it should be nothing. My heart is saying pick the Bengals, just because this is a huge deal for the city of Cincinnati. Everybody's hyped up for it. I think the whole country is in on the Bengals winning, especially for them having a drought for so long, since 1988, which seems like an eternity, right? But logistically, I think the Rams are going to pull this out. It's not going to be easy like everybody thinks it is, because, it's an even playing field now. All teams have had the proper amount of time to prepare. So it just depends on who can keep up with who, or who is slacking because they don't think it's their top competitor. But I got to pick the Rams. I want the Bengals to win. I really do. But I think the Rams are going to do it, and they're going to be another place in history books for another team to win at the home field.
I think the Bengals are playing with house money. It's not going to be one of those days where they'll just happy to be there. They're just, they weren't expected to get this far. So, you know what? We'll just, chill. We're in LA. We'll just chill and stuff. I think it's all business for them. But with that said, I think the Rams are on a mission. I think they built this team for this moment. They got rid of, first round picks and second round picks and such to bring on, Von Miller and OBJ and those guys. So it's not going to be a blowout. Like I said, I know some people are saying it's going to be a blowout. Oh, the Rams are going to blow out the Bengals. No. It's going to be close for a little bit. But I think, like I said before, in the second half, especially going into the fourth, the Rams are going to pull away late. We may get a strip sack, or maybe a scoop and score, or maybe Ramsey gets a pick six or something like that. I think it's going to be like 28, like 17, 28-16 or something like that. Rams. And I'd say Aaron Donald will end up winning MVP.
That's stepping out a little bit. I could dig that.
Katie Sid.
Yeah. For those of you betting on the money line, you take the Bengals. That's an easy one for me, which that when I'm getting ready to say the final score. The Cincinnati Bengals 26, the Los Angeles Rams 29. It's not gonna come down to the last second field goal. Cincinnati will kind of have to play catch up, going back and forth a little bit for a while, but the Rams will have enough just to hang on. They'll win by that score, 29-26 Rams.
Okay.
Bengals will cover, but the Rams will win. Like I said, I really don't have no dog in this fight. I'm with you, Christine. If Cincinnati wins, great, but I don't hate the Rams. I don't. They don't play the Bears that often. They don't. You know, the same
One
damn
time
conference.
during the season where they embarrass them in front of America,
Right.
but
Oh yeah, what happens like
anything.
every other year, so it's fine.
All right. Yeah, so that's our the big game, 56 NFL Championship edition of our NFL picks. Christine, great job all season long, doing our picks all season long. So thank you very much for participating with us. But we're not done with you yet, so we still have a few more minutes left in the show. So it's been a pleasure having you all during the whole football season. You listen to Second City Sports #Football Friday edition. Lakeena, Sid, and Christine here with you. We still have a few minutes left. Christine, we know the MLB lockout is still going on. Spring training is supposed to start next week. It looks like that's not going to happen, even though both sides are supposed to be tomorrow, Saturday. The owners in the Players Association. We'll see what happens. This could be a critical moment if the regular season starts on time. Looks like we're going to have a shortened spring training. It'll be 5 weeks, 4 weeks. We'll see what happens. But this week, the Chicago White Sox started selling tickets for the 2022 regular season. But according to our guy, Jordan Lazowski from Sox on 35th, the White Sox have it on their website now. The promotional schedule was released, assuming that the regular season starts on time, which I'm still hopeful of, which I think is going to happen. Here, we won't run down all the dates, but we'll just run down some of the key dates. Thursday, March 31st, which everybody starts the regular season, the White Sox will open against the Minnesota Twins. The first 20,000 fans will see the 2021 AL Central Division Championship pennant.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, nice.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
Another one to add to my office space.
Saturday, April 16th versus Tampa Bay. First 20,000 fans, player bobblehead to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
But I did purchase tickets. Keep it between the three of us. I did purchase tickets for this game Saturday, April 30th at 3:05 against the Anaheim Angels. The first 20,000 fans. I wish we had a picture of this. The first 20,000 fans will get a Southside hockey jersey. Now, let me describe this as best way as I can. Remember when the Blackhawks played the Boston Bruins at Notre Dame about 3 or 4 years ago? Yep. And they had the old Chicago Blackhawks logo on it. You know the City Connect White Sox jerseys from last year where it says Southside on it?
Yeah.
It's a black jersey. You can go to soxon35.com to look at the picture. It's a black jersey. It has the guarantee rate logo on the side, but it has the Southside logo on it. It looks great.
Minus the guarantee rate logo. Yeah, it's great.
Exactly. There you go. Saturday, May 14th versus the New York Yankees. The first 20,000 fans will get another player bobblehead. That player's name to be announced. June 11th, Saturday versus the Texas Rangers. First 20,000 fans. White Sox Hawaiian T-shirt day. Yay!
Oh, yay. Oh, okay.
Yes. Monday, July 4th, and that's a night game versus the Minnesota Twins. First 12,000 fans will receive a player bobblehead, player's name to be announced. And we'll have a fireworks show afterwards. That's why the game is at night. Saturday, July 23rd versus the Cleveland Guardians. First 20,000 fans, player bobblehead, player's name to be announced at a later date.
Bobbleheads.
Yep. Summer T-shirt series Thursday, August 18th versus the Houston Astros. I believe that's an afternoon game. First 10,000 fans will get a summer T-shirt series, and then they'll have it again the Thursday, September 1st against the Kansas City Royals. First 10,000 fans with a summer T-shirt. And I did get this next item about 3 years ago against the Boston Bruins on a Sunday afternoon. It's coming back. The White Sox soccer jersey, Sunday, September 4th against the Minnesota Twins. First 20,000 fans.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Boy.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no Wednesday hot dog days. Unfortunately, that's not coming back. But Family Sundays will be back this year at Sox Park, minus the last Sunday game against the Cubs in May, just to let you know. So minus that game. All the cheap tickets in the upper deck will be back. I believe at least last year started at $10, but we don't know what the prices are yet. But those Family Sundays will be back this season. A few other popular theme nights that have been announced. Friday, May 13th against the Yankees, Rock and Roll Night presented by Guarantee Rate. Friday, July 8th versus Detroit, Country Music Night. Wednesday, August 17th versus Houston, Police and Fire Night.
Ooh, yes.
This is for you, Christine. Friday, August 26th versus Arizona Diamondbacks. Elvis Night presented by Betty's
Yes,
Pizza.
I was waiting for it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, where's Elvis Nights?
Yeah, you have to wait till the last Friday in August for that one.
Golly. Yeah, I
And
won't
then-
be able to go to that one probably.
And the last homestand of the season, which starts Friday, September 23rd versus Detroit. Hopefully, we'll clinch a playoff spot by then. It's a Hispanic Heritage Night presented by Modelo.
Cool. Very
Yep.
cool.
So those are your promotional dates
I like it.
for the White Sox for this upcoming season. Assuming everything starts on time, which I believe it will. Those are your promotional dates for the White Sox for this upcoming season. So, Christine, you got to have some plans to come back home, maybe a couple of times, maybe 3 times. I don't know your situation, but
I know.
pretty
I gotta
interesting
make
dates
my
there.
annual July trip. That's what I always do. I always come back in July.
Yeah, we'll have to make some. We'll have to coordinate, Christine, around the schedule. So, yeah, it should be some fun times at Sox Park this year, and hopefully the team will do some winning like they did last year. It'll be that much more enjoyable.
Woo.
Yep.
Love it. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully, these things will go as planned. I don't think it's gonna go too far. I think we may miss maybe a couple weeks of the season, but I don't think.
Oh, the regular season?
Yeah, I think we may miss 2 weeks at most. I don't think
That's
we're gonna
a hot take from Lakeena right there.
I know, right?
What is it? The owners and the players. I think the only thing that they've really established is a universal DH. That's
the only thing. Yep.
Yeah.
If that's the only thing. So
yeah.
Oh God. Well, at least they figured that out, I guess. But yeah,
I guess it's something.
It's something.
Yeah.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, like I said, tomorrow's meeting should determine where how many weeks we'll have for spring training. I know MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said missing regular season games will be disastrous. He's absolutely right. If they do, whoo boy.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think so either. Like I said,
in their mind, that's not an option.
Yeah,
that's money they're losing. So yeah, I don't see it. Hopefully,
and that means the players in all these professional sports, they get their first paychecks when the regular season starts. So that's money out their pockets, and they're not going to go for that. So we'll see what happens with that. Couple more minutes here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago Live in Living Color. I'm Sid. That's Christine. It's Lakeena. Lakeena, this news just came out as Amazon prepares to form their announcing crew. Rumors that Al Michaels and Troy Aikman may call the games for Amazon Prime next year for that Thursday night package. It looks like they're looking at Tony Gonzalez and Marshawn Lynch for their pregame coverage. Marshawn Lynch actually talking, that'll be an event in itself.
Oh gosh.
Al Michaels not going to do Sunday night anymore? Are they completely having a new team?
Well, here's the thing though. There actually been some rumors that came out in like recent days that that hasn't been official yet. So he may still have a role with NBC, but maybe not necessarily doing the Sunday Night Football game. But he may still be doing some stuff with NBC in some capacity. Maybe the Notre Dame games that they have on NBC, the home games. Maybe do some Olympic stuff. With the Paris Olympics coming up in a couple of years, the Summer Olympics. So. Yeah, that's not official just yet. I know some people, and I know that I've heard Aikman say numerous times that he would like to keep doing the games at Fox too, because remember Fox got the Super Bowl, have the Super Bowl next year, so I'm sure he's going to want to do that. So nothing set in stone. There have been rumors, but yet there have been some late developments here too. So still a lot to be decided.
I hope they don't shake up Sunday night too much. I like Al and Chris Collins work together.
Well, it looks like you may get Mike Tirico and Chris next year, but we'll see what happens. Mike Tirico did Monday Night Football back in the day for ESPN some 15, 16 years ago. A couple more sports media news nuggets to pass along. Former ESPN Sports Center anchors Jamel Hill and Kerry Champion. They'll get their own shows discussing sports and politics and anything else in between on CNN Plus.
Okay, I think that's a nice format for them. I feel like, especially for the stuff that they talk about. So I think that's a good format for them. So congrats.
And our favorite substitute crew for Monday Night Football, Lakeena, they're coming back. Their deal will go through 2024. Eli and Peyton Manning are back. Yay!
Well, remember that this is an extra year, though. I mean, it was always going to be a 3-year deal. They just got an extra 4-year deal. So.
I guess it keeps going. If I have more guests like that, I need Kevin Hart to come back into that. That was hilarious.
Marsha.
That was my favorite one, just because they're like, hey, so you trying to go to the Super Bowl party afterwards or something like that? And then he's like, hey, look, man. So he was funny with it.
Yeah. Hopefully,
shout out to our buddy Armando. He says the Bengals are going to win.
So yeah, so he picks the Bengals as well. Armando does. So
yep. So we'll see what happens with that. The NFL is already playing games in London that have over the past decade or so. They're headed to Germany with games scheduled in Munich and Frankfurt over the next 4 years.
Yeah. And Mexico, right? Aren't they going to Mexico too?
I think so. I think I saw that, but I think that hasn't been official yet. But yeah, it looks like they might be going to Mexico. I think.
Viva la football!
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the field's better than when they tried to do it a few years back. Remember that field was hopefully the field's in a much better shape. But yeah.
Yeah. And finally, from ESPN, former New York City talk show host from the Mike and the Mad Dog days locally in New York City, Chris Mad Dog Russell, who hosts his own show on MLB Network. He will co-host First Take every Wednesday with Stephen A. Smith. Here's all to say about that, Lakeena. Who's going to out-yell who? And will Molly Cameron Miles, who substitute hosts on that day, how much will they lose their hearing? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll skip that one. I don't watch First Take.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, he's had to tone it down a little bit since his COVID scare. So
yeah.
I'm actually kind of impressed how tame he's keeping it.
Yeah, I think he's got to save his energy. I think, right? I think
really.
It takes a lot out of you. So.
And plus, he's doing NBA coverage too on Wednesdays. I think some Fridays too. So, and he's gearing up for the playoffs and finals. He's going to be used a lot. So, like I say, he's kind of had to tone it down recently. But ever since he's gotten that big paycheck a couple years ago from Walt Disney, he's been running wild. But like you said, maybe him recovering from COVID may tame him down a little bit. But we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Lakeena, it's been another great show for this pre-big game edition of Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Thank you once again to Mr. Randy Cross, 3-time Super Bowl champion in college and NFL expert and analyst for CBS Sports Network. He was kind enough to join us early in the show. Of course, thank you to Miss Christine Manika coming back strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, and participating in our prop bets and giving her predictions on the big game. And so the big game will take place on NBC Sunday, kickoff at 5:30. If you want to watch the pregame, go ahead. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use YouTube to watch some other stuff before the game. So that's just me. So everybody have fun, and hopefully we'll get a great contest between these two teams. Christine, I'll ask you this last question because we're up against it. Should the day after the Super Bowl be a national holiday here in the U.S.?
Yes, and I got a funny story about that. So I went to Queen Peace High School, and the boys' school next to us, St. Lawrence, now it's co-ed, they always had the Monday off after the Super Bowl, and us girls were like, well, what the heck? Why don't we get that Monday off? We like football too, so absolutely, I think so.
Well, there are rumors there have been rumors, especially now, especially with the potential 18th game, that they may put the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend, so you may get that extra day off regardless. So, for some people, so I've always felt that Monday after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday. So. Give folks an extra time to recover, especially if they've been gambling. If folks have been gambling, might have lost
a little tipsy, just saying.
A little too much fun in those Super Bowl parties. So, I've always been I've always lobbied for that. So hopefully they'll do that eventually. I think that's a must. I think, but we'll see.
Win or lose, the Cincinnati school system was shut down on Monday, so the kids are happy.
So winner for them. I love it.
So, I'll say, they're gonna be off, regardless of the game. So, the kids will get an extra day off, no doubt. So a lot of great sports. We got NBA, and college hoops too. Some great matchups coming up to this weekend before the big game. So nice. If you don't want to watch, all those 8-hour pregame shows, I'm not a fan of that either, Sid. So
I'll be watching the past Super Bowl highlights via the YouTube. So that's going to take up most of my time.
It's on America's game too. So
exactly,
that's a lot of fun. With that said, you can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG. Twitter's actually back up, Lakeena. I think you told me that before you went back on there. Oh, that was scary.
I knew it was down because nothing was loading. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was down for like 15 or 20 minutes. So it literally started back up once we started our show. So okay, good. That's good.
I had to change my password, but I'm glad I did it. So and everything's back on track. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80, SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you?
They can follow me at CManika_KXRB.
All right.
All right. Enjoy the games, everyone. Also, all the sports they got coming up this weekend. Got the Waste Management Open going on right now for all you golf fans. That's going to end like right before the tip-off of the kickoff of the Super Bowl, right before like the big pomp and circumstance ends. So check that out as well. So enjoy the game, everyone. Be safe out there. If you're not going to get vaccinated, please wear a mask and wash your hands and be good to each other. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This has been CBS Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy the game, everybody.
The big game. Holla!